but nobody ever saw it burn up. But the Soviets claimed at the time that it had burned up somewhere over the Atlantic, but nobody could prove that. So I think it's probably still up there, you know. And the Soviets shot up I think they sent up like 7 Almazes. The Almazes were like battle stations. They started with recoilless rifles, and then they ended up with lasers and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, you know, I firmly believe that we sent all this stuff into orbit, and it's all up there. We just claim it doesn't exist.
Probably the same way that our space force doesn't exist or will exist or whatever. Hey, our time is up. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you going to come on again next month about the same time?
Sure. I'd be happy to.
Okay, now, you mentioned a book. Is it still available where people can, you know, get their hands on it?
It is. It's on Amazon.
Well, go ahead and give everybody the information, how they can find it. And if you have a website,
Sure.
Go ahead and plug all that.
I do. So the website is paranoiamagazine.com, www.paranoiamagazine.com, and it's called The Secret Cold War in Space. And we, go to Paranoia Magazine. You can find everything from there. We got back issues that you can download, back issues that you can buy on Amazon. We got crazy T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. But it's called The Secret Cold War in Space.
Oh, wow. Okay, and on Facebook, how do they find you?
We're Paranoia Magazine on Facebook.
Okay.
You can get there from paranoiamagazine.com. It has our Twitter, our Instagram, and our Facebook.
Okay.
And hey, check out the Instagram. You can follow my travels as I go to weird and peculiar places.
Better watch out where you go.
I'm the paranoid tourist.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, hey, I enjoyed having you on the show. This is your third time being on the show, so we'll go for 4 and 5 and 6.
Sure.
And last time you're on, we had a big feedback of people loving you on the show.
Great.
The show has gone from like 20,000 to 60,000. Now we're topping between live listeners and downloads between 90 and 100,000 listening per episode.
Wow.
So, I mean,
crazy.
And you know what the funny thing is? I'll be honest with you. Our biggest audience base is in Europe, mainly in the UK and Australia. A big following started now here in the last couple of weeks in Australia.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this.
Well, you got a great show, and people. There are a few shows out there that are really good, and this is one of them. So,
well, thank you.
I'm happy that you're being recognized for it.
Well, I try to make the show pretty much like if you were sitting down here, on a couch, and I was sitting on an easy chair. We're sitting back having a cool beer and just talking, and that's the way I like the show to be done. And I've been doing radio off and on since 1976, and I don't know if I told you this before. Art Bell contacted me last I'm thinking around August of last year, maybe September last year, because I always would head out towards Reno and stop by the compound and say hi to Art. I know Art. We weren't close friends, but we were friends. I known him for 20 some years. And he knew that I was really bored, and for him, to call me up and say, "Hey, get back in radio, but don't go regular radio, go internet." He said it'll take you time, but to get the listenership, and it was right. I mean, the first month or two I was on, I'll be honest, I was embarrassed. I would do my show, I'd look at the server, information the next day. I had 5 or 6 listeners, and that went on for like a month. Then all of a sudden it went up to 15. I'm going, wow, I'm getting 15. And all of a sudden it was in the hundreds, and then it just kept going, like clockwork, bang, 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 and it just keeps growing.
Well, I'll tell you something. We actually have a podcast that we intermittently actually do. We took a break for a while, but we're going to start doing them again. We talk about this kind of stuff on there. But, the way I have a friend, Mr. Lobo from Cinema Insomnia, and the way that my friend always put it to me is that he said, when you look at the number of people that actually listen to your podcast or listen to your radio show, he said, think about it in terms of people sitting in your house listening to you talk. He said, how many people can you fit in your house that are willing to listen to you talk? And, if you've got 15 in there, just figure you filled your house up with 15 people who are interested in what you have to say. Well, now you've got 90,000, or more That's a freaking compound.
Oh yeah, that is. It's like a small town, and it was really funny. I don't know if you heard the intro of my show, but I didn't realize there's two good actors that are good friends with each other. They've been listening to my show out of the UK, and one is Michael Caine and John Cleese or whatever it is.
John Cleese.
Yeah, John Cleese called me up the other day. I guess he's filming a TV show for ABC out of London, and he's listening to my show. And I said, and I was joking with him. I said, maybe you ought to come on my show sometime. Well, hopefully in the next month, him and Michael Caine will be on my show. But I said, you need to do an intro for my show. And he laughed, and he was kind of sarcastic. He says, "Oh, everybody hates me. You don't want my fucking intro." Yeah, that's exactly what he said. My fucking intro, and you won't have any listeners. Well, this morning, I'm in bed. My wife goes to work leaves the house at 5:00. I think around 6:30, I get a phone call. Here he is, John, calling me. He goes, "Well, you ready? I got a little bit of time. We can do it right over the phone. I'll do an intro for you." So I quickly, almost naked, run into my studio, turn all the computers on, and we did 2 takes. And this is number 2 of the 2 takes is my intro now to my show for a while.
Well, I'll tell you, if John Cleese or Michael Caine want to listen to my podcast, I'd love to hear from you because I'm a big fan of both of you.
Oh, yeah. And, it's so funny. Awesome. I was talking to, my wife's all excited about it, I was talking to a couple of my sons that still live at the house. One of them's like 27 years old. I said to him, I said, "Hey, I had John, and his friend Michael Caine listen to my show." And he goes, "Who are they?" I said,
"Oh man!"
And I said, "You never watched PBS when you were a kid? You used to watch where he ran this. Him and his wife ran this, yeah." And he was telling me that too. That I think that was tore down actually to make a bunch of flats. The original building that.
I love those guys.
Yeah,
those guys are the best.
Oh yeah, British humor is really dry, but it's funny. Like when he was talking to me, I actually, I didn't know if he was mad at me or not when I asked him if he would do an intro. When he come out and said, "Who fucking want to listen to my intro? You want to fucking?" That's what he said. Fucking kill your show. And I'm going, wow. Well, I got it, so I'm happy.
Oh man, that is so awesome! I didn't hear it, but I'll go back and listen. I'm a big fan. So.
Well, I'm gonna because I'm so excited about it. At the end of the show, right here, after I let you go, and I ran over by 5 minutes, which is gonna. Well, that's no problem. In 2 weeks, I gotta not be able to do that because I got a radio station that's carrying us. So I gotta really tighten up how I do things. But you know what? As I end my show, I'm gonna play a little music, and then I'm gonna. If you want to, listen to me, just go on Facebook, hit the app. I got it on there, and you'll hear them.
Oh, no, I'm going to listen.
Okay,
I'm a fan.
Yeah, well, so am I. And I'm now more a fan than ever. I mean, it's shot. You you never know. You do a show like this, you never know who listens to you. And that's,
Well, I'll tell you. You got 10 seconds. So early on when I started this Odyssey, I had a website called the S4 database, and I was completely consumed by the whole S4 Area 51 thing. And I've always been a supporter of Bob Lazar, and I had this whole thing about Bob Lazar and all the reasons why I thought it was true. And one day I got an email from Bob Lazar, and he's like, I really like what you're doing. Keep it up. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This isn't Bob Lazar. And so I mean, I'm nice to everybody. I try to be a nice guy, and I go, "Oh, thanks. That's cool. Are you really Bob Lazar?" And he says, "Yes, I'm actually Bob Lazar." And I ended up going to Bob Lazar's house and hanging out with Bob Lazar.
Oh wow!
And I went to Desert Blast, his big, pyrotechnic festival in the desert for him and all his buddies, blowing stuff up and shooting things. And I went out there and. He's all, "Come on out." And so I was hanging out in his house, and we were fucking around. And then I went out to the desert, and we blew stuff up. And I got to see his jet car and meet John Lear and all those guys. And I have a copy. I got it from Gene Huff, who is Bob Lazar's friend. I have an original copy of the Bob Lazar movie, the script that they were trying to shop around for a long time. Yeah. So I have an actual copy of the Bob Lazar movie script.
Well,
but I didn't believe him. I was like, "You're not Bob Lazar." He goes, "No, I'm really Bob Lazar."
Yeah, it's really funny. John Lear is on my Facebook, and I never thought of asking him, to come on my show. And last week I just, sent him a message, instant messaging him, and I said, you need to come on my show, and he come back and said anytime. So, hopefully he's going to come on Night Dreams Talk Radio because, he hasn't done virtually anything in the media-wise for years.
Not for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I always go back to I know you're going over now, but I always go back to the disclosure conversation that Art Bell had with John Lear. And Lear was on a show, which, he would routinely go on Art Bell's show. And Art Bell asked him, he said, "So what do you think of this whole disclosure thing?" And so Lear goes on this, I don't know, it's like 20-minute long monologue about, well, what do you think? Here, I'm going to give you disclosure. And for the next 20 minutes or so, he just goes on and on and on and on and on. And at the end of it, he goes, "So Art, what do you think? Would you disclose it or not?" And he goes, and Art Bell's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't disclose it then." I always love that. But I talked to Lear once too. I said, I used to go out to Vegas a lot for work, and I said, maybe I should stop by and hang out. He's all, "Yeah, come by, hang out." I'm like, okay. I didn't do it, but I should have.
Well, it was interesting. Art Bell, told me one time, this is back, a couple years ago, we were just talking, what got him into doing paranormal. And he said, he just got done doing his radio show. John Lear come in because they were friends, and they started talking. And John Lear says to Art Bell, because Art Bell was not happy doing political stuff. He was burned out, talking about politics and, all that type of crap. He was just tired of it.
Yeah.
And John Lear told Art, and this is what Art told me, he goes, "Well, look, talk about paranormal. Talk about these strange UFOs and all this weird stuff." And Art goes, "Hey, and with all the guidance with John Lear, telling all this stuff, Art Bell tried it. The station, he was on kind of freaked out, but guess what? Like the first day he broadcast it, made the change, people just went crazy over it."
John Lear, the few times that I've emailed back and forth John Lear is a smart guy.
Oh, yeah.
He is a very, very smart guy. I don't know that I agree with everything that he believes, but I'll tell you, he has reasons for believing what he believes, and he can defend it.
Oh, yeah.
He is a very, very smart guy, and he is a very good interviewer.
Yeah, well, hopefully he does come on, because I was even
shocked. I hope so.
I was even shocked when Stephen Bassett, came on my show. I mean, he was critical before he came on my show. He wanted to listen to it a few times, and then I guess he liked it, and then he started really promoting me off his website big time. And after we did the interview, he told me I'm the first host. It actually got him off of talking about UFOs and the government, and we started talking about other things for about 20 minutes. And nobody else has ever been able, according to him, be able to pull him off of it in that type of subject, And it was famine, people starving to death and all this stuff. We started talking about all that, and that's one of his other passions. And he was happy to be able to talk about it. No one ever asked him before.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm still hung up about John Cleese and Michael Caine.
Well, I am. My one son goes, in fact, my other son too, I said, Michael Caine, and they go, "Well, who's he?" I said, he's an actor. Well, he's a has-been, he's old. I said, yeah, but he played in one of the Jaws. But Tesla, remember that movie, the Tesla they made? He was his assistant. I mean, he's played everything from spies to war movies to love movies. You name it, he's done it. I mean, he's had a major career, Sir Michael Caine, and then acting. Yeah. So, I mean, That's what I find.